feel like it's been so long since I've done this.
Has it?
Well, at least
January?
90 days, I guess.
Yeah. Possibly more because we had that break.
We didn't do the book when we were supposed to do it.
Oh,
so
yeah. We did the Moby Dick episode.
Yeah.
And that was so fun.
Sorry about that.
Best podcasting content.
Yeah, that was an ideal episode to release to be the most recent one in the feed after the Hugo finalist.
Look at these Hugo
announcement.
nominees.
Welcome to this podcast. Here's something you are not interested in. Okay. Are we ready?
We are ready.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Welcome to Hugo Girl, the podcast that I seem to remember how to introduce, where we read Hugo Award-winning novels and sometimes other things. I am Lori.
I'm Haley.
I am Amy.
We did it. And today, that's it. That's the show. Today, we're going to talk about Stand on Zanzibar by John Brunner. Do we think it's Brunner or Brunner?
I went with Brunner in my head.
Rhymes
so-
with runner.
Yeah.
Right in nicely.
The double N, yeah.
Yeah, seems like runner. Stand on Zanzibar won the Hugo Award in 1969. It was a action-packed new wave weird stuff year. Nova by Samuel Delany was a co-finalist. And we should probably read that at some point because I hear it is Moby Dick inspired and I have it and I read 2 pages and never picked it up again.
Let me take a note in my notebook.
Your new notebook.
Amy got a cool new Kindle notebook, something.
Scribe.
Scribe?
Scribe.
Scribe
It's
is
fancier.
Brand name of it?
Yeah. Well, it's like Kindle Fire, Kindle
Moby
Scribe.
Dick.
I have the first generation. She's got the brightly lit second generation.
It is very bright.
This has not been brought to you or sponsored by Kindle in any way.
Yeah, definitely not. Stand on Zanzibar was also a Nebula finalist. And that year, a little interesting notes from our friend Joe Walton. 2001 was eligible and was not even a finalist for the Hugo Award, but the movie won. So they gave a Hugo to the movie and didn't even nominate the book.
Well, as we know, the book and the movie were together. They were a pair, a friendship. They were written at the same time. So I think that means they both won in my heart.
And the movie is beautiful and the sound is great.
And the book is so good.
I like that book a lot.
Finalist. I like both of them. I like both of them a lot. But anyway, that was out there. So it was I think a big year for experimental weird stuff. Other things that were out there that Joe mentioned. She mentioned a bunch of them. The ones that I thought were interesting were A Wizard of Earthsea, Dragonflight, and Last Unicorn by Peter S.
Oh my God.
I know. And interesting sad fact about John Brunner, he died at Worldcon.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
1995, I believe.
Yeah. Juan wrote in about that to our email.
Oh, that's right. That's right. He did. Hi, Juan. Thank you for the email.
Hi, Juan. Thanks.
So that's all I have by way of intro. Plot summary.
Good luck.
It could actually be 2 sentences or 60 sentences.
Basically what I've done is...
Like, if you want to summarize the plot, that's
Very
very hard.
hard, yeah.
If you want to summarize the book, it's a little harder.
Oh, that's such a good distinction. All right, here's my terrible plot summary. 2 indistinguishable male characters share an apartment and do nothing for 300 pages in a speculative 2010 New York City. Then they do some stuff for the last couple hundred pages that is a little bit more interesting. One of them ropes an entire African nation into servitude to a corporation where he is a junior vice president. He says he kind of wishes that that nation had been enslaved in the past so that he might be descended from them, which is an extremely strange way to say that you think a culture is nice. The other one turns into a super spy and does some murders in service to the West's eugenics race. There is rape and ample drug use and a human MacGuffin named Chad Mulligan. There is also a supercomputer. There is also a supercomputer that sounds cool but doesn't get much screen time. That's all I got.
Wow.
Checks out.
Amy is so disappointed in me.
No, I'm not disappointed. I think I know where you stand on this book, is all I'm going to say.
Well, I really thought about it and I was like, maybe I'll just use a prepackaged plot summary. And I looked at the Goodreads plot summary and I was like, I don't think this is correct.
No, I like yours way better than most of the ones I saw.
Like about half of it was correct. And then I was like, well, I don't think the whole last half of this actually accurately describes the book. So that's what this book is about.
And it leaves out all of the micro chapters that aren't really about anything.
They're not plot.
Yeah.
They're not
That's what I
plot.
said. If you want to summarize the plot,
that's like
you have
Amy's
summarized.
They're all
the plot.
vibes.
Yeah.
astute distinction.
Yeah.
Summarizing
Summarizing the book would be a different endeavor.
in this
altogether.
outline, it says brief plot summary. And that is what I did.
That is our segment.
It was a plot summary and it was brief.
We can't sue her.
She has stayed in her lane here.
I understood the assignment. And I hope it is pass fail.
You C+.
There you go. That's all you need. Okay. Goodies from Goodreads. Haley, what do you got?
I'm going to read this. I have 4 sentences that I'm going to read in the fragmentary nature of the supplemental sections of the plot. Because it's like a flashbang.
Yeah, let's do
Like
it.
the
Let's
book.
get experimental.
So just 4 sentences. These are all 2-star reviews. All right, first quote. And as for the 2 main plots that emerged once I'd figured them out, neither needed 650 pages. Second quote. These are all unrelated. However, about 2/3 of the way through, I was ready to decrease the surplus population myself. I like that because that's also a Christmas Carol joke, and it's top tier. Next one.
It's a surplus population. It is.
Yeah, it's Ebenezer Scrooge. One of my favorite monologues. Are there no poor? Are there no workhouses? Hey, all I can say is, if you want to read all the Hugos, you're going to have to wade through some of them.
I like that was very clearly written in a mid-Atlantic accent.
Yeah.
Hey,
You're going to have to wait through some of them.
See, okay. I got 75% of the way in and still wasn't into it. Still don't know what Zanzibar is.
well, that's a personal failing.
Yeah, and that I still don't know either.
It's a country.
I thought it was a city. It's a country?
It's a whole.
Yep.
I have no idea. What's the capital?
Fun facts.
So mine is a 2-star review from Amazon by a fella named Matt. And he said, tries too hard. People who say dude a lot might like it.
I think I say dude a lot and I didn't like it. Ron gave it 1 star. The whole liquid helium incident is stupid. You can't use a hose of liquid helium as an offensive weapon.
That was his complaint.
That's the review. And then I've got one more. Rawson gave it 1 star. Terrible. I would recommend this to no one.
I have one more, but I'm saving it.
Okay.
For the appropriate time.
Haley, what's the capital of Zanzibar?
I just looked it up. Zanzibar City. Boring.
Well, easy to remember, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, you won't forget.
When it lacks in originality, it makes up for in branding.
Yeah. Yeah. There are some. I think the capital of Djibouti is Djibouti. There's a couple of things
You
like
said
this.
Djibouti.
I know that from a commercial.
Yeah.
Oh.
I think Liechtenstein's capital is Liechtenstein. Boring.
Is the capital of America America?
America City.
The Gulf of America is called the Gulf of America.
Jesus Christ. Oop. Sorry, bang.
Okay. I didn't do a good job doing my DM homework.
I don't like all this prefacing of what you're doing by saying it's bad.
I don't care.
So far, so good. Is what I'm saying.
Don't care. I don't like it.
Stop demeaning women.
I don't like it.
This is my misogynist moment.
This is a feminist podcast. Damn it.
I'm really sorry, you guys, but okay. This is one of Jo Walton's favorite books, and she says it is John Brunner's best. It is a new wave novel, and it was the first installment of 4 future works wherein Brunner tackled, in this book, overpopulation and sexual freedom. In this version of sexual freedom, it is men getting blowjobs. The second one is called The Sheep Look Up, and it is about environmental devastation and domestic terrorism. The third is The Jagged Orbit, which is about racial tensions and weapons enthusiasm. And the fourth one is called The Shockwave Rider, about computers and organized crime. And they're all set, I believe, spaced 50 years apart. And uniformly, everyone says this is the best one.
Did you guys both read the ebook?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you have a foreword by Bruce
Yes.
Sterling in yours?
Yeah.
I didn't.
Did you read it?
I don't know.
I did.
It came to mind because he talks about the new wave thing too.
Yeah.
And I had always kind of thought this was maybe a cyberpunk type book instead.
So this is a progenitor of
This
cyberpunk,
is what I
many
learned.
people say.
This is
That
what I
it's
learned.
new wave, but it's a progenitor of cyberpunk. And I have a little note on that
Me too.
about Neuromancer. Do you have a line that jumped out at you as a Neuromancer line? Here it is. When his TV went wrong and would show nothing but a field of irregularly wavering gray lines interspersed with dots which moved like dust suspended in liquid and examined under a microscope to demonstrate Brownian motion, ... There was more, it went on. That's like the first line of Neuromancer.
Was the sky television colored or whatever?
Yeah.
I mean, the city vibe is there. Like, with all the technology, definitely. I can see that.
Well, I think there's some overlap. So what I
course.
found was New Wave has a lot of anxiety over coming tech or coming social change or sort of the beginnings of it. And then cyberpunk is more dystopian in nature and more about tech's already kind of taken over and we're all marginalized people in a tech world. Kind of, we're all being marginalized by the tech savvy corporate overlords kind of thing, which this has some of that in there for sure. Like the General Tectonics company that has Shalmaneser.
So I think I read the Wikipedia about New Wave. And so if that's to be believed, the distinction with New Wave is not that it's not those things that you described, but that it is characterized by a great degree of experimentation with the form and content of the stories, which we definitely see here.
So it's less substance and more, okay.
Yeah, well, and then also that was when we started seeing an emphasis on social sciences rather than pew-pew and spaceships.
This reminds me of when we talked about The Demolished Man, because we talked about psychology or psychiatry being a new science, so it made it into science fiction.
Yeah.
That's...
Well, and when you think about Le Guin, if you think about Left Hand of Darkness, if you think about The Dispossessed, those are social sciences.
Yeah.
So, and she was a contemporary. And same with Stars in My Pocket. I mean, all of that stuff. There is interesting technology, but it certainly takes a backseat to studying the structure of the society.
It's also interesting to see this one particular guy make that jump, because he wrote apparently quite a bit of sort of pulp, standard golden age science fiction.
Yeah.
And then wrote this, and everybody's like, what?
Well, so he based it on the idea in John Dos Passos, who was an American modernist writer. And so in the 1920s, you had like Gertrude Stein. And let me read you some Gertrude Stein right now. It's nonsense. It's art, but it's nonsense. So like, this is from Tinder Buttons. A cushion has that cover. Supposing you do not like to change. Supposing it is very clean, that there is no change in appearance. And it just goes on
it's
and on.
It's very James Joycean. It's getting James Joyce.
And it's not supposed to make sense, but it's about like the vibes.
You said you like John Dos Passos, right?
I do like him.
I don't know anything about him.
I haven't read him either.
So I like what he does because it's more historical, and I'm just more drawn to the 1920s than I am the fake 2010s, I guess.
Yeah.
But he does a very similar thing. Like there's an overarching plot, but then there's one page that's just like a prose poem of something happening. So it's the same format.
Speculative fiction, or is it more the format?
No, it's just historical fiction. So it's the format of interweaving within a narrative, like imagism and like feelings and like ads. He gets a little bit more experimental here because he'll do like radio transcripts. And in that sense, it's like Moby Dick. There's all kinds of stuff in here.
That's true. It is like Moby Dick.
Oh, guys, you're spoiling my favorite part of what I'm going to say way later.
Oh, well. How about for the listener who may not have read it?
Yeah.
Then let's describe the structure a little bit. So there are 3 types of chapters, which I read about this on the Little Red Reviewer.
I have some notes.
And I was happy to see it put in terms that I can understand, which is to say that someone else read this book and thought about it and explained it to me. So we have the primary plot, which is Donald and Norman, the 2 interchangeable blanks of men. And then we have little vignettes of side characters, which tell us what people's lives are about. And there are a fairly broad swath of types of side characters, because I think Donald and Norman both have money and white-collar jobs until Donald becomes an assassin. So we see all different kinds of people's lives. And then the third one is what I call things I didn't understand, which would be maybe snippets of TV shows, news reports, things like that, some other stuff, sometimes some statistics that provided some more context to what was going on in the world. And sometimes they work for me and sometimes they did not. Amy is bouncing. Amy, what do you want to say? You said you have notes.
Oh, sorry. I wasn't actually bouncing to say anything.
Oh,
I might just be bouncing.
Oh, I thought you were excited because you had notes.
No, I was looking to see, because I was paging around in the notes because I wanted to see what I particularly wrote about. Some of the chapters are titled with the happening world, which is what he calls what's happening now is the happening world. And I think those must have been the ones you're talking about that have the snippets of whatever.
And some of them are called continuity, and were the continuity chapters the Donald and Norman chapters?
Yeah.
Because that was the overarching plot.
That's what I was just looking at. Those are the main plot with Norman and Donald. Norman and Donald also pop up in the happening world, I think, from time to time. But my opinion is that the happening world parts were actually, to me, the most compelling parts because it did the best. I guess it was those and a little bit of the context ones. Those are the ones with like Chad Mulligan shows up in a lot of the context. Chad Mulligan in this book is like a
human MacGuffin,
sociologist turned critic, like social critic, I guess.
And he likes to drink.
But I actually enjoyed reading the little essays that were supposed to be him because I mean a lot of it is pretty prescient in a lot of ways to what we have going on now, and so it was interesting to see this perspective, I guess. But Yeah, so I felt like the plot chapters weren't nearly as successful as those other ones where he's just sort of like maiming you with this world he has created.
Yeah, I think I agree with that.
Some are like really well done short stories.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then some are just like, this. I'm bored with this.
Yeah, some of the characters, I mean, he has a lot of characters that he flips through.
Yeah.
And all of them were very disturbing. Some of them were more compelling than others.
Yeah, like in a book about eugenics, it's like a side chapter into about, there's 3 pages about a couple that's trying to figure out if they can't have kids, like that kind of thing. So,
And that's interesting to think about how people would.
I don't think any of us could procreate in this world.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I was like, I'd be fine. I could be like,
I'm mad about it.
Sorry, I don't have kids. I'm not allowed to.
No.
Not that this is fine, but
But then there's a lot of side eye at people who say they could have kids and they don't. People are like, but I want them and I can't have them, therefore you should be having them.
yeah,
Which is
That happens now.
that is true.
but then you're only allowed 2, and then there's just one family that has had one, then had twins, so they have 3.
Oh,
and then,
yeah.
or I can't exactly if that's exactly right, but she's pregnant again, and they're gonna have another kid. And the husband, who's terrible, gets like stalked and tortured.
He's the one with the second secret family too.
Yes,
right?
so he had a bunch of kids, and you're not supposed to.
Yeah, but I guess he had it coming
I mean, I ain't mad
because
at
he
him.
abandoned his family.
It's very prescient. Last night, I've seen a lot of Monty Python in my life, but I'd never seen The Meaning of Life. And last night we watched it for the first time. And there's that whole first bit about every sperm is sacred.
Every sperm counts.
I don't think I got that before right now.
Yep.
Oh, let's see. What was everyone's favorite little vignette of side characters if you had a favorite? I ask because I do have a favorite.
I mean, I have one that I found touching,
Oh.
which was, I believe her name was Grace.
Mm-hmm.
And the democratically elected authorities come in and they're basically rehousing a lot of people who are living in buildings.
Oh, Jane.
Jane. Okay. Rehousing a bunch of people who live in buildings that are going to be condemned, essentially. Yeah. So she's there, but they don't know she's there. And they come into her house and they're going through all of her stuff. And she's basically a survivor of the 20th century. Like she's us, kind of.
Oh, yeah, she is.
So she has stuff around her that is stuff we would see in our daily lives.
I guess she's actually, because it's 2010, I guess she's like our grandparent or great-grandparent. Because she's elderly, right?
Yeah,
In
because she
2010.
bought an Edith Piaf album when it was new.
So she was elderly in 2010.
So anyway, so they come in. They don't know that she's there. They're just pawing through all of her things and remarking on them. And then she shows up and they were like, oopsie. And so they just ship her off to an old folks home, auction off all of her things, and then she dies of a broken heart.
And that sounds very dystopian, and it is. And
But
it's
also
also
stuff-
certainly a thing that does
it happens. I think that's why I was so moved by that particular situation, because I think I'm a person who likes to feel connected to my past life by keeping things. I'm a thing keeper. And there was something about her surrounding herself with her life and trying not to engage in this new world, I think, in a way. And then she just gets clobbered by it, basically.
It's the opposite of the lady with the books that I think about a lot in Fahrenheit 451 that dies with her books.
Hmm.
Can't take these books.
So that one got me.
Yeah.
That was a shorter one, but
Yeah. My favorite was the guy who's talking about how the moon is a better place to live because they're just nicer because they have to be.
yeah.
Because they have to cooperate.
Yep.
We're handpicked for our abilities to make allowances for the failings of our fellow human beings, and anyone who doesn't measure up to the intensive demands of the lunar base gets shipped home fast.
So here's the thing. I'm going to say that I didn't like this book, but as often happens when we talk about it, I like it more. The thing is, too, it took me so long to read it that a lot of it I don't remember. So both of
That's
you
how I
bringing
feel.
that up, I was like, oh, those were really good. And there's some really good writing in this book. There are some, on like the sentence level, I think some very good writing. My favorite one is a silly one. It's the one where the priest is administered the truth or consequences drug, and he starts doing a normal sermon and then lapses into, let me find the quote.
I think this book would do well if you were forced to read it in only 3 sittings.
I did find the longer the sitting,
Yeah, same.
the more I was swept
It
along
takes 10 minutes to
with
get
it.
into it. Yeah, same.
I can't find it exactly, but he says, you shouldn't be here letting me stuff your ears with all this nonsense. You should be home stuffing another organ. And then it says, the congregation was disturbed.
The experimental form thing is really interesting to me. Because the chapter that I was just talking about is the old lady under the juggernaut, which I thought was a pretty good way of putting that.
Yeah.
But the chapter is in verse. Like it's a poem,
Yeah.
sort of.
Is it?
Yeah, which I think helps because when you have to write in a spare way, you end up, if you do it well, then you're forefronting all the feeling, right?
Yeah.
In a way that's concrete, so I thought he was pretty successful in that particular chapter.
He could have written some more things in a spare way.
I liked his limericks.
Oh, me too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure good.
I was trying to find, let me see if I can find this real quick before I move on.
I wish that I had read this when I was younger.
I had the exact same thought. I think I would have had more patience for it, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like, I think I've told you this a million times. Like, I'm less impressed now with experimentation as I'm an old lady. But like when I was in college and I wanted like the weird poems and the hard music. Now I'm like, can I have some Chapel Roan into my ears, please?
This was definitely the first book like this I have tried to read in a really long time.
That's true.
I guess not counting Demolished Man that also had some form.
I felt that Demolished Man was really easy to read, though.
This one was not. And I think that's kind of what I mean. Like this was it was challenging on purpose. Like he was trying to do something.
But not obtuse. Like this is a million times easier to read than Stars in My Pocket. To me, anyway.
Yeah, I would be reading sentences and Stars in My Pocket and completely lose track of what was going on.
Me too. I was not confused during this book. That my main problem was that I was often not interested.
Yeah.
And then I would look at the volume that I had left and I would just be like, oh no.
It is daunting. And I think it's not a page turner, which doesn't mean that a book isn't good. It's a different way of reading.
I was reading a physical copy from the library when I read this book. And it was from 1960 whatever.
Oh, wow.
It was a really old copy, had a really good cover. And I think that helped because if you're reading an ebook, it's really hard to figure out where you are in space and time in the book.
That's true, yeah.
Oh, mine tells me how many pages and what percent I'm at.
Yeah, that means nothing to me when I'm looking at that in any book. To me, that means almost nothing. I have no idea what that means.
Mine says 7 hours left. So
that's more helpful.
Oh,
maybe.
mine will say that too.
Yeah, but like looking at a physical book as you watch yourself page through it, it helps you, I think, a little bit or it helps me, I shouldn't say. It helps me understand where I am and how much I have to go, and it's more orienting. I don't know.
The only reason I don't try and get more hardcovers or paperbacks for the podcast is because it's hard to take notes and then remember to go find them.
Well, right.
So I love I can highlight them.
I like that I'm trying this new.
It feels more like a book
thing
than a Kindle, I think. Yeah.
Well, this one was particularly hard to take notes on and then go find the stuff that you were trying to remember because it was just so dense. And if you don't have something you can use to search it, it's like.
So on the subject of the religious guy of the sermon and just religion in general, so not that sermon in particular, but I am actually surprised of all the things that he predicted, and there's a lot of discussion in articles about this book about the things that he predicted and what he got right and what he got wrong. I am surprised that we do not have, so far, vocal religious fanatics opposed to AI like we have in the book. I'm really surprised by that. The divine daughter who tries to sabotage Shalmaneser says, consciousness is the gift of God and you can't build a soul into a machine. And
Interesting.
I wonder if it's too soon, if it's too early in ChatGPT's tenure for us to have that, but I'm kind of surprised that I haven't heard that.
Well, the powerful religions right now in America, I'm not sure they understand what humanity is, which would make it difficult for them to discern whether something is humanity.
Shots fired.
I think we've been slow boiling in AI for so long.
Yeah, we're the frog in the pot.
Yeah, like the fact that it's become so normalized as to almost be banal. Like every single app on your phone, it's like, hey, do you want somebody else to write it?
So fucking annoying.
It's so dumb.
And the thing is, it actually has very good applications in terms of like identifying patterns. And apparently it's like better at identifying breast cancer in mammograms than a human, like a little bit better.
More of that.
That kind of thing. It actually has really good applications. And so why am I always having to tell Adobe, I don't want to chat with my document?
Yeah.
I wrote the document. We've chatted. It is actually, in fact, all my chatting. I don't need to chat with it. And another thing, Instagram, this is, I guess this is not AI, but Instagram says, make your chat yours by creating fun nicknames for each other. Like in all of my DM conversations, it has this little alert at the top and it's like, give each other fun nicknames. You can't tell me to give my friend
Everybody knows nicknames do not work unless they are organic.
Right.
T-bone.
Everybody knows that.
T-bone, because you choked on a T-bone that one time at that restaurant in high school.
Do y'all know what the kids are doing with AI these days?
Oh, God.
So there's multiple programs like this, but the primary one that's really popular right now is called Character AI. And you can create friends to talk to.
Are you about to talk about
this?
And then like phone sex with John Cena thing?
Basically, but kids will do it with anything that they can think of. It's so widespread right now. I don't want to pass judgment on it because who knows if we were kids and had this app.
Yeah,
but like kids are just like talking to their vampire lover on chatting.
So the other day, one of my coworkers was telling me about I think I told you guys about the TikTok trend where people will say, I'm so hungry I could eat a dog. And then the dog looks panicked.
Yep.
And I'd never seen it. And so I was like, maybe there's some stale TikToks I can see on Instagram because I don't have TikTok. So I go to the search bar on Instagram, which you can't not interact with the stupid AI bot thing. So I type in, I'm so hungry I could eat a dog. And I get all these videos that are still TikToks. And then a wall of text that's like, if you are so hungry that you could eat a dog, you may be experiencing food insecurity. And it was like, however, it is not possible or socially acceptable to eat a dog. First of all, it is possible. Second of all, in some places it is socially acceptable. So wrong and wrong. And then it was like, if you are experiencing food insecurity, the United Nations can help, or you could go to a restaurant. Contact the UN or go to a restaurant.
Are you hungry? Have you tried eating?
That's like with Lubalin's thing. Like, I will contact Attorney General.
We need Lubalin. Where is the hero we need?
Oh, anyway.
I wonder if that's some weird offshoot, because I do like how Google, like if you Google, ways to harm yourself, they'll be like, hey, here's 988.
So the other day I Googled measles in Atlanta, and Gemini, Google's AI thing, said there have been no reported cases of measles in Atlanta since 2020. And right below it was a Department of Public Health article about the 2024 and 2025 measles cases in Atlanta.
Liars.
Don't believe it. It isn't real. Okay, let's move on.
Well, so AI.
Yeah.
If we could talk about that now.
Sure.
That'd be great. So
I wish we had more Shalmaneser in this book.
So he has Shalmaneser in here, and I am really curious because he talks about building Shalmaneser is they're feeding it information, right? And they're waiting for it to become sentient, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious if in 60, when was it written? 68?
It was published in 69.
Okay.
Or rather, it won in 69, so I guess it was published in 60.
So we're writing it 67,
60s.
66, yeah.
Busy year.
So that was before computers were really widespread.
Yeah.
They took up rooms.
Anything remotely related to like learning models of computers, was that even remotely a thing at that time?
I don't know.
I don't either.
That's a good question.
Computer friends,
Yeah.
give us a call.
That is not far off from like when they used to have punch cards that would work computers.
Because if it's not, this was amazing that he
Yeah,
did
that's
this.
true.
Somebody on Reddit was like, John Brunner's a time traveler, and I fully believe that.
That intro, he talked about him predicting the fall of Detroit, essentially.
Yeah.
And like Detroit techno in particular, like this style of music that like only exists in Detroit and only exists in those abandoned
in the abandoned factories,
car factories. Like this guy was spooky.
It wasn't just the big
he was like
things.
President Obomi.
President Obama, Barack Obama.
He missed the year that we hit 7 billion people by 1 year.
Yeah.
Like,
Wow.
insane.
My favorite is the little things that he guessed that are right. So there's one section where he talks about how people have to update their basically profile pictures on their online things. Otherwise, you look old. And there's people in jobs I've had that like it's a 40-year-old person with like their 22-year-old.
Yeah, dude, people don't update their
I know.
pictures.
I purposely did last year because I was like, this picture of me from 2007, I'm a child. But like even little daily weird things. He's like, yeah, that's... he describes listening to music on a screen with like the little visualizer things that like PCs had in 1998 with like the ripples and the colors.
But where we're not yet, but maybe we will be soon, is women only wear thigh-high stockings, but they're called boots. So the thing that this book reveals to me about John Brunner is that he had a fetish for thigh-highs and garter belts, but didn't know what they were called. He's like, boots that went up to the thighs.
All the way up.
And then there was a strap around the waist with a rosette at the bottom and fringe at the front. And that is garter belt.
Sorry, with a fringe on top.
And that is a garter belt and thigh-high stockings. But in 2010, it's called boots. If a woman wants boots, that's what she fucking gets. She gets a tall sock.
All of my stuff about women belongs to misogynist
My
moment.
God, yeah.
Every
We're not
woman-
even
We
there yet.
could
We're not there
actually
yet.
have
We're not
just
there yet.
started at
We're not there
misogynist
yet.
Every
moment.
woman in this book is a fembot. I'm 100% certain.
On the topic of computer prescience, one of my favorite things in this book was that they had this really fancy computer. They can do all this really fancy stuff, but when they wanted to read what it had to say, they had to print it out.
Oh, yeah.
And so they had these piles of paper that
Dot
they had to go
matrix,
through. And I
probably.
was like, this is giving named partner. Like,
But then they go to the library, when Donald goes to the library, he says he's reading the same book as any number of other people. So I assumed he was sitting at some type of computer terminal and reading an electronic version.
I just figured they had more than one copy of a book.
Oh, because it said at the New York Public Library, there were none of the works were actually there.
Oh, I just missed.
So
I
read that as
you're probably right.
Basically a Wikipedia or
And they have phones with cameras. They
Yeah.
have all the stuff that is very clearly digital life.
But if you want to talk to Shal, you got to
go to your
print.
dot matrix printer.
Oh, that's so funny.
Although I think he did actually predict laser printers. They're probably laser.
Yeah, I mean, he predicts so much. It is wild.
He predicted what I think could easily be a memo from Pete Hegseth. The government, in one of the little aside chapters, the government is requiring soldiers to use slurs against Asian people. And it says, I'm not going to say them, but it says, use of soft-ass civilian terms is to be severely punished, which really seemed like something Pete Hegseth
Only
would
war
write.
fighting. Only
war fighting. And then he says, we must drive out these parasites, these immoral bloodsuckers who corrupt our womanhood. And I was like, God, man.
Yep.
The more we change, the more we stay the same.
That's what Chad would tell you.
Corrupt our womanhood. They just been saying that for centuries and keep saying it.
And the women don't even have houses to live in.
Well, corrupt our womanhood and they don't even get whole pants.
I'm going to be maybe an apologist for this at some point. Not right now. Right now, I want to talk about whether it's forward thinking or not that they kept calling out, the people kept calling the AI bot a he. They more than once. Someone told me, why are you calling it a he? I don't know. And then they would do it again and be like, well, there I go again, calling it a he, but they never called it anything else, which is.
That was in this book?
Yeah.
I did not notice anyone calling it out, but I appreciate the calling it out.
Yeah.
The male normativity.
That's what I was trying to think. Is that forward thinking or not? Maybe it is. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. Calling it out absolutely is. And that's remember in Moon is a Harsh Mistress, the AI, the man thought of it as a man and the woman character thought of it as a woman?
Yes.
So it just depended on who was talking to it.
I mean, those people were basically like asking for its preferred pronouns, which is awesome. So yeah,
that's true.
We should be asking computers what their preferred pronouns are.
Or maybe
if we think they're people, we absolutely should.
Or maybe they don't have pronouns because they're just robots. I don't know.
Yeah, it's like I'm a dot matrix printer with a lot of Wikipedia. I don't have an opinion. Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say I'm very excited for what Amy is gonna lead. Are you gonna get Shiggy with it?
Stop.
Oh, I actually thought that could be the title of the episode, and then I forgot.
Perfect.
Well, we can still do it. It's not out yet.
How about the monofilament, which I thought was invented in the three-body problem?
Same. I wrote that down. Yeah.
I saw that too.
The microscopic cheese slicer. Did it start here?
I mean, I haven't seen it. I haven't seen an earlier work that had it.
Well, I haven't either, but
yeah. But this is 30 years before, 40 years. Shit.
Yeah.
This book walked, so three-body problem could run.
I mean, it's exactly the same too.
Exactly
with the boat that comes up off of up the ramp, and
his head falls off and sees him from below. That was crazy.
Incredible.
And exactly in between this book and Three Body Problem is, have you seen the movie Ghost Ship where
yes,
line comes
yes,
Ghost Ship?
It's about a haunted boat, and like the first 5 minutes, a big like wire snaps from like the top of a mast, and then people are dancing in tuxedos, and it cuts them all in half.
Oh my god, I want to see it. Is it good?
No.
Oh, I still want to.
It might be worth it for that scene.
Kevin, have you seen it?
Oh. You like boats, you like ghosts.
Yeah, I do like both of those.
I have one last thing to say about.
Let's do it.
Shalmaneser.
Also the name of an Assyrian king.
So that
I didn't know that.
You should mention that, Haley. The one thing I found about this AI that I thought was kind of interesting was that Westworld, the TV show Westworld, they have an AI called Rehoboam. I'm not pronouncing that right. Rehoboam. I don't know.
Of the Manhattan Rehoboam.
Well, he was a former king of Israel. Shalmaneser was a former king of Assyria. And Babylon.
The only Babylonians I know are Zul and Dozer.
I am Zul. So anyway, the creator of the Westworld TV show is on record as saying that AI was an homage to this AI, which I thought was pretty cool. And they put it in the lobby of the Westworld company, just like Shalmaneser's in the lobby of this company,
like an ATM.
Because he's like, you can see the product, you can see the thing, and they're like, see, here's this wonderful thing we have made, but you cannot ever see what it's doing, which was like the best metaphor for corporate America that we have at this point.
How did y'all picture Shalmaneser? I pictured him as when Watson played on Jeopardy.
Oh,
and it's just the big black box.
I just didn't. I didn't really.
I pictured it as a tankless water heater.
Oh,
Like you just stick this thing to
Don't
the
think
wall.
I
and
think
then
it
you
was
have
like
hot
a
water.
blurry giant ATM.
Well, it described it as not very big. Like it's a 18 inches by something.
Oh,
Really?
So when the Divine Daughter goes, they're in the lobby like doing a tour, and the Divine Daughter goes to destroy it. They describe it, and it's really just
A little fella.
a little fella. Like there's a lot,
Or a little gal.
well, there's a lot of machinery that's attached to it that's in the hydrogen bath
Oh,
or,
yeah.
or whatever it is, helium. I don't remember.
Helium, because the helium hose cannot be used as an
Right.
offensive weapon.
But the computer itself is just like this
Computer.
computer box, like a fuse box.
even that is a huge prediction because like in the late
Right, because they were
60s,
giant.
filled
the
up
computers
entire
were giant.
rooms, yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, we could talk about Amy. You were completely right.
Oop.
All the dumb words
Love
in
being
this.
Oh.
The slang.
Oh.
Did you hate it?
I hated it.
It
so
didn't
much.
bother me too much.
Why would anybody say, what was the one for AM?
Antimatter.
Why would anybody say antimatter
I
if they
actually
could
really
just
like
say
that.
AM?
I think it's funny. I liked antimatter for AM and Papa Mama for
Papa
PM.
Mama, Papa Mama rolls off the tongue.
It
but-
took me a little bit of reading to understand it, and then once I did, I was like, I see what you're doing. I thought it was a little funny.
the word they had for children was good.
Prodigy.
Prodigy.
For progeny.
I hated dollars or buck a ding dongs.
Sometimes they were talas, though, weren't they?
There's, I mean, it might have changed, but
children.
No, dollars.
Yeah.
Like that's an obvious progression
not
of you would
that.
say dollar, you
Oh, yeah.
tala, I think.
I just refused to accept whatever those words were.
I didn't mind it. I think buck a ding dong was probably slang though, like bucks or buckaroos or smackers. I mean, we have so many dumb words for money.
I completely agree. I don't ever
What's a
say
quid?
them.
You know,
I know, but buck a it's so many.
Buck a ding dong.
It was too cutesy for me.
the one I did really like was that LA was LA.
Oh yes,
Which is exactly what it sounds like when someone
LA.
says LA. LA.
I liked it.
That was good. That was a good one.
I liked that they called things sheeting for fucking.
Oh, and whole. What in the
yes.
What in the hole?
What Noel?
What, Noel?
It was giving Battlestar Galactica frack and like some of the
Frack.
weird things that make the culture seem just a little bit off, but very similar.
Yeah.
I liked that he was thinking about a realistic way that a word might change.
I did like that there was racial epithets for everyone, including white people.
Pale asses.
Pale asses
I mean,
was
there
good.
are racial epithets for white people.
It's true.
Well, the books don't always have them, is my point.
Oh, that's yes. Pale ass is funny. I'm not offended.
So, on the topic of race, there's a trope wiki, basically.
Oh yeah.
That talked about,
TV tropes
that had an intro, books. I mean, it was.
Oh, because there's like tvtropes.com is like a thing.
Yeah, but
I can tell you what the website was.
Oh, that's fine.
But it was talking about. It had a blurb for this. I mean, it had a page for this book.
Oh,
So it would have like a trope, and then it would say, "Here's how this book did this trope," right? And I had never really thought about it in these terms, but it had an entry on positive discrimination, which was basically like you have your token of whatever race,
positive stereotype.
and they are
kind of
better at everything than anyone else in the book.
Yeah.
Right. And I'd never thought of it that way. Like you see it, like it seems good, right? When you're just reading it, you're like, oh, he's giving Black people this great job in this new world, and this is forward thinking, and this is great. But there's only the one, and he can't just be normal. He has to be amazing. And I never really thought about that before, and that's exactly what Norman is in this book.
Oh, that's interesting because I felt that Norman was not very nice.
But he
and
never. Sorry.
He also says sometimes that he's like, I'm kind of making it up as I go along. You know,
But he
I don't
never
know.
fails. Like he's
It's true.
everything he does.
It's true.
is he Mary
perfect.
Sue?
It's not Mary Sue exactly because, but I do have something to say about that. But it's not Mary Sue exactly because he seems to have worked up to this point, right?
Yeah.
He seems to have worked for this position
Yeah.
that he has and put in the time, whatever. But like he takes on this project that is like mining the ocean,
Taking over a country.
and then
Yeah.
like selling it to the leader of this country,
Yeah.
and then convincing them to let them do this invasion and this technology investment, which happens all the time now. But he's probably not qualified for that.
Yeah.
But he does it really well.
And that's a good point that it does strip a person of seeming realistic.
yeah, I want to link the page on this topic that I found.
Yeah, send it to me.
Because the rundown is really interesting. The other thing that they brought up, because I was kind of poking around, I'm like, I want to like poke at my own impression of how he treated like Norman and then the Shinka and these other countries that they go to.
Mhm.
And the other thing that I found that was interesting was Mary Zootopia,
Oh.
which is the idea that you have this country that's perfect, right? And like no matter what happens, this country has the perfect people, the perfect economy, like everything is perfect, perfect, perfect. But also the people are perfect. Like, and if you aren't perfect people, then you don't stay, which is the entire idea of Beninia.
Well, Beninia is not perfect, though.
Well, economically, it's not. That's why they need them to come in. But the people, and there's a very big deal made about how nobody's ever really been able to conquer them. And like, if people come in and they try and take advantage of them, they eventually just get assimilated and they never do whatever it is they set out to do. And it was an interesting concept. Like, there's all these reasons why this shouldn't be true. Like, these people are in between all these wars. Like, they don't have natural resources. They're not.
It's because of the pheromones, Amy.
Yeah.
Right. So that's the thing. It's like no matter what arguments there are for the fact that this shouldn't be happening, it's happening, and that's a Mary Sutopia.
Yeah.
That was great.
That's a deep dive.
I got into, I just landed on this page looking for something else, and then I kind of started reading around. It was interesting.
And so the explanation for that in the universe of this book is that the Shinka have, I guess, what is tantamount to some kind of pheromone that makes them not get mad and the people around them, I guess, not get mad, which is why the conquering fails. I guess if you're in the presence of that pheromone, you also just chill. So that explains why people who go there get assimilated instead of doing conquering. And I don't know how to unpack that.
I don't either. I think part of what I was trying to get at when I was looking this up, I was like, I don't know whether, it's exploitative, but it's also, they're impressed, right?
There's something really reductive about being like, your sweat is why you prosper.
Right.
It's
well, there's no other explanation. Like, they don't have money. They don't have like,
right.
They don't have an army. They don't have, so like, what must it be? Oh, you're just like that.
You are accidentally.
But it does lead to the one really good literary success of this book, which I think is this wonderful irony that this Yakatangi geneticist is probably the one person that can take all of this gene amazingness from the Shinka and actually make it so that it can be biologically, scaled up, basically. And then Donald kills him in Donald's own self-interest, so they can't do that, which is kind of awesome to me. It's a really good, beautiful moment of irony to me.
That's true.
And then Chad gets really upset about it later.
I missed that.
Well, it's like, because at the end they're like, well, I guess we can like synthesize this and then like give it to everyone. And Chad's like, that's not supposed to be the way it works. Like, you can't bottle up humanity and rain it down from a UN plane. You're supposed to be able to just do this, organically. So he gets really upset. But anyway, I thought that was a pretty good little irony in the book. College thoughts.
Yeah. I feel like we're going to have a lot for misogynist moments, so maybe we should move on to segments unless anybody has anything they really want to talk about. Oh, I had one point about the language in Beninia made me think of Anares, and how in Anares you can't say that something belongs to you. You can't express possession. And in Beninia, they don't really have the concept of being angry because they don't ever get angry. The worst they can say is, that person seems unwell, or that person owes me. That person owes me based on their behavior. But that's about as far as they're not mad. They're just disappointed.
Oh man, did you guys ever see the movie Firefly?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Serenity.
The movie Serenity.
Yeah.
And the whole premise of that movie is they've made this drug that makes everybody docile.
Well, I wondered about it.
Just realized
is it a docility thing that they would be spraying on people?
It takes in the movie it was like they take their aggression away.
Yeah.
So I guess they're going to be it's like when a cat starts doing something you spray.
But then you can't go there and try to be an overlord without getting exposed to it. Yeah. I guess you'd have to rule through drones, which they can do.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Like, if they go there and they want to synthesize it, is that another form of conquering? And then will they then not be able to do it?
I guess you got to read the next book.
Mind blown.
All right. Anybody have anything else they want for?
There was a section talking about State Police Superintendent Todalung, and he literally describes her as tunic and breeches and boots. And I thought that she was a real tunic and breeches and boots kind of girl.
She's got her notary stamp right next to her nightstick and her taser. Okay.
We didn't even talk about Donald. He didn't even come up. Anyway.
I don't know much about Donald.
Oh, well, okay. Donald, I have a lot of misogynist moments.
That's when we're going to talk about Donald.
Does anyone have a feminist favorite from this book?
Yes, I have one.
All right, I don't.
Is it Bronwyn?
No, but that was my B.
So
feminist
Haley,
favorite.
go.
Bronwyn is this gal he's hooking up with in
Donald.
Donald is hooking up with her. Her name is Bronwyn. She's a newspaper lady.
No,
I don't know what she is.
She's a lady with leukemia who's trying to find a doctor.
That's right.
No job, just leukemia. Leukemia and blowjobs.
In bed. So he's awful to her. Surprise, surprise. And then she responds, "In bed, your American crudity had a certain exciting quality. Out of it, it's merely bad manners. Thank you for giving me so much of your valuable time."
She's literally the only woman in this book that's like talks back to a man and is like, I don't like what you're doing here.
Yeah.
Except for the boots and suspenders cop.
Yeah, and she gets killed. So.
And she gets killed.
Well, there's GT.
Really horrifically.
There's GT, like the head of the company.
I do like her.
Yeah, but she doesn't do much.
There's a bunch of women.
The thing about GT as the head of the corporation is it's like the trope of like the black police captain.
Yeah.
Like we have not created a character. We have simply said there is a head of the company. That person's a woman. I'm done here.
Yeah, you don't really get to know her until she dies.
Yeah.
Like when she dies, you get a little bit of insight into her. But
It's just like to me, it read like a checklist. Let's make a person in a position of power be a woman, but not give her anything to do or be particularly important to the story or know much about her.
the horrible, horrible woman who's in charge of that beauty company has a lot more development, a lot more agency. But
She
she's
does.
a terrible person.
Mhm. And terrible probably to women as well.
Which is fine. Women can't be terrible.
Yeah.
Nobody
But
here.
they are in this
Present company
in this,
excluded.
They're either terrible or nothing.
Yeah.
My feminist
Or-
favorite. Sorry.
Put a pun.
My feminist favorite was the divine daughter, who
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
who has the best description I think I've ever read. Let me find it so I do it justice.
I thought about that one.
I read the beginning so long ago. I was like, who's the divine daughter?
I know. But she manages to take out a couple of men
Yeah, she
before
does.
Norman gets to her with the helium hose that cannot be used as an offensive weapon.
Nothing short of religion could persuade a normal girl to make herself look so awful.
Are you calling nuns ugly?
But also, I love that this woman, like in this world, women are literally polishing themselves to shininess of machinery.
Yes.
And here's this woman running around with her little zits and her little sack dress, and I'm like, you fucking go, girl.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, you go be the change you want to see in the world.
picked that.
Yeah.
But instead I decided to say, there is nothing feminist in this book. All right. Here we go. Misogynist moment. And I think we can probably combine misogynist moment and boob talk
Yeah.
for an omnibus discussion.
Misogynist boob talk.
All right.
Man, I have so many notes
I'll
on this.
yield the floor. Who wants to start?
I will defer to you to explain the concept of shiggies to the listeners.
Oh, okay. So shiggies are no different than the whole. So in literature, as you may be aware, there's this common trope of the seedy underbelly of a city it's called the demi-monde is like the trope, and then there's always women in the demi-monde who survive by whatever means necessary, right? Which can be really reductive, but it also can be these women are doing what they have to do, right?
Yeah.
Which
And
what-
sex work is work.
and what the Shiggies are doing in this book isn't much different than forever women marrying to have a roof over their head and to make sure they had financial security. And like these women bounce around because the men they suck and they just toss them out whenever they're done with them, I guess. But I don't know that I would qualify the Shiggies as misogynist in and of itself.
I think
It's
it
more
is misogynist
commentary.
because we don't see anything else. Like, if you're either a woman who has a particular job or you're a shiggy, like there's so many. And so to me, it seems like what women can do in this world is very limited.
Well, is that true though? I mean, we may not get a lot of development of them, but there are 2 women CEOs. There's a woman who is traveled to I'm not gonna get that name right.
That's true.
To
For
get
her
her
leukemia.
treatment. There's the mother of that horrible son that she has some unknown job, but she's fine.
That's true. That's true.
Bronwyn. And then there's the divine daughter. I mean, there are examples of women not being shiggies.
That's true.
So shiggy must be a very specific thing.
There are also company shiggies.
Yeah, that one was wild.
Yeah. I mean, this is
that one misogynist moment.
women as like sexual servants by trade is like just so pervasive. And I, again, am not anti-sex work, but the idea that like a company has a stable of women to swim naked during a party is
It's this Playboy Mansion.
I interpreted them as not even sex workers. I thought so. The whole point behind them was that it's overpopulated. Everything's expensive.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, do they have jobs at night?
Yeah, I think
and also,
you're right.
Why aren't men doing this? 'Cause
You're right.
Only men could have houses or apartments?
Well, it's very weird. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, this is still a time where women couldn't have credit cards.
I think,
Women
Haley,
owning
you're right.
Property was weird.
I think it's not. I think it's distinct from sex work. I think it's like being a sex-only girlfriend, and it's understood that it's a sex-only girlfriend.
And you don't have a house.
Because you don't ever see them give them money. It's like you're basically paying your rent.
You're couch surfing.
And presumably you can leave whenever you want, because Donald talked about the woman that he had for a while who he kind of regretted her leaving, but she left and they run into each other at a party, and she was like, there's a reason I'm not with you anymore, basically.
Yeah. And I understand that. And I didn't think it was horrible, but I was just mad that only women had to
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
not have their own space.
And also, so yeah, that, not great.
Yeah.
Also, I don't know what we're supposed to think about the guys who are indulging in shiggies. Like, I can't decide if it's presented as this, like, mark of machismo or something, or if it's, like, saying something not great about them. It's hard to...
It feels neutral
it's hard
to me.
It might be like him experimenting, Brunner, that is, with like the free love movement of the late 60s.
Yeah.
He's very much of his time of like,
Yeah.
maybe it's okay to like casual sex.
It's like, if women can sleep with anybody, then I guess we're going to have this.
yeah, like women they can't get credit cards, so they can't have a lease.
So, but if they can sleep with anybody, then they can find a man to house them, at least until he doesn't want to anymore.
Or if they're not... But the women can also leave. Like, they can... If they don't like what's happening, they can go find someone else. Because apparently there's always a guy that wants a shiggy. So anyway, I don't know. I don't know if I come down hard on the side of it being misogynist. It's problematic in a lot of ways. But
yeah, it wasn't my favorite part to say like, oh, the women just...
That was not my favorite part either.
They don't even
Very
get to wear
clear.
pants.
No.
Did they not? Well,
My misogynist moment will take the cake. Donald, after he's thinking about Bronwyn, says, he had astonishing amounts of pleasure from her slender brown body. Moreover, someone suffering from leukemia was to be pitied and allowances ought to be made.
okay.
So the second half of that sentence is horrible, but the first part is the most interesting part. Not I enjoyed having sex with you or making love with you. I got pleasure from your body.
Took pleasure from your body.
Like, what? Jesus Christ.
Although, she did the same thing.
Well, yeah, but it's like usually sex is like a mutual thing.
I enjoyed it. It was fun. I took
The
pleasure.
phraseology is terrible.
That's like, I reached into
And it
the
says something about
pantry
John,
and
yeah.
got the Cheez-Its.
Does it say something about John, or does it say something about Donald? It's hard to say.
Yeah, I mean, it's the objectification of that sentence that
you're
bugs
right.
me.
Yeah.
Like, it's fine to say, man, I love boning you. Like, that's a great way to say it.
Right.
But I got some pleasure from your body.
I sucked out all the pleasure I could, and then
And in the context of the rest of their relationship, too, it is consistent with him.
It's like
We never see him giving, you know what I mean?
he's not a giver.
yeah. My actual
He doesn't
misogynist
get the
moment
job
was
done to take it back to Chaperone.
this one's personal.
Okay.
The character Sasha Peterson.
Oh, the one who, go ahead.
She did not look her 44 years,
Oh no.
Lori. She was plump, and her wrinkles were filled out. So she looked better than she should at 44, which, as a 44-year-old, I would like to tell him to go kick rocks. But it's made even worse by the fact that we see her about to enjoy the company of a man, and she gets horribly raped and murdered.
By her son.
By her son.
She looks good enough to get raped, murdered by her son.
Christ.
Oh. We haven't talked at all about the concept of running amok in this world. He basically predicted
The muckers.
mass shootings.
The muckers, yeah. That was a whole thing.
And there's lots of exposition on like, well, there's just so many people that men just sometimes go crazy.
Only place they don't have them, Beninia.
Because of magic sweat.
This is not misogynist, but I thought it was funny, and it's a sentence that makes no sense. He's describing somebody, I'm not quite sure who. It's a woman. She has long black hair spilling it down her back in a tressy waterfall of forgetfulness.
A tressy waterfall.
He wrote that. He was like, damn, I'm good.
If we're supposed to be comboing boob talk, I got other stuff, but I know you want to do your massage.
No, it's fine. I have so many.
Oh, please go. Please start. Please begin.
Some are both. It's hard to distinguish them.
I have a lot of boob notes.
Let's see. Eric Ellerman is a plant geneticist with 3 daughters who's scared because his wife has developed a permanent pot belly. That's exactly what it said. It said he was scared.
So that's the one that ends up being pregnant.
A permanent pot
So
belly.
he's worried because she has a pot belly because he realized the permanent pot belly is that she's always pregnant.
Oh, if only there was some way he could help with that. Okay. I concede. I actually put some incorrect notes here because I have in this section should have been in my general discussion section that there's a pet bush baby in a pet shop, which reminds me of 2001, where the daughter in the movie says she wants a bush baby for her birthday. This was a big year for bush babies. That does not belong in a misogynist moment.
Isn't every baby a bush baby?
Wait, what?
No.
That.
Okay.
It's a
Depends
thinker.
on the lady.
It's a thinker.
Depends on the lady.
Then I have a real one.
Okay.
Bronwyn served Donald silently and made sure he was replete before taking any food herself. He found he liked that. It was sultanesque.
Did he like that?
And she was naked too.
Yeah.
They got room service.
you like that,
and then
Donald?
she fed him before eating. He's like, I just met her and I love how she's not eating in front of me. I love it. But I'm still going to be rude to her.
One of my favorite boob talks was that more than one woman in this book had carnelian nipples. Did you guys catch this?
Is that like carnations pink?
So carnelian is a rock.
Oh.
I looked this rock up to
Yeah,
see
it's
what
a
color these people's
precious
nipples
gem.
were.
Hmm.
It's somewhere between orange red and like rusty red, I guess. But the orange red ones, if you had nipples that color, that's not healthy.
Who had carnelian nipples besides Bronwyn?
Bronwyn and
Some Shiggy.
no, it was Sasha. Might have been Sasha Peterson.
Oh, the rape
Or
murder
whatever.
mom.
I find.
Where?
Yeah, it was Sasha Peterson. Rounded enough for her skin to be full and firm everywhere. On the shoulders, on the breast, tipped with carnelian nipples.
Okay.
On the belly, underlined with hair, dyed to match her head. Never miss a trick.
He's like Forrest Gump, like coconut shrimp, lemon shrimp.
All right, we have we're at 59 minutes.
We
so
might
should
have to
wrap it up
maxi a
in-
bit because there's more boobs. We gotta
we
talk
need to
about
wrap
more
it up in
boobs.
like
We got
5
more
minutes.
boobs. All right.
We can't.
Okay, fine.
But somebody needs to talk about nippy caps, and if no
Yeah.
one has notes on nippy caps,
I have
I've
nippy
got
caps.
it.
All right, so this is why I was like, are they fembots? At one point, nails, nipple, and contact lenses were chromed, so the nipples were chromed. That's exactly what
So
a
a
fembot
nippy
is.
cap is a thing you wear so that you can have visibly erect nipples or not by deflating and inflating them
yes.
if you want to show interest or not. Quote, there were few more ego-undermining things a woman could do to a block than let it be seen how her erogenous tissue lost interest. That's a nippy cap.
I
Nippy
kind of love that actually. It's like
It's like having a
it's like
boner.
you have to watch her boobs to see if she's into you.
Sometimes it's just
You would
cold.
be, instead of making eye contact, you'd be like, my nippy caps
But
are
it's
down
very,
here.
but it's very unambiguous.
Yeah. There's some people. No, never mind. There were some small, shapely buttocks.
There was some incest breasts.
I have
One of the few men who have incest in their books.
Yeah, true. But true.
Poppy Shelton was at the OBGYN and it said her pregnancy had done nothing except improve the line of her bust. And then it went on to say, describing her face, she had just enough tawny admixture to her complexion to make her seem feral. And I don't know what that means, but I do think it's at least kind of racist.
Oh yeah, any tawniness making you feral is bad.
John.
Also, I was curious, so I looked up what admixture means, and it just means a mixture.
Yeah, you could just say mixture.
Yeah.
Save 2 letters.
The incest breast. I have to just read this.
The incest breath.
It was a very beautiful breast.
It was just one.
It's always my favorite thing. Just the one breast. Of a fullness that trespassed over the border of voluptuousness. Trespassed.
Okay. Yeah.
So it was too voluptuous.
just a little.
Just a little bit.
A toe
Dipping
over.
a toe.
A toe over tit. Too big.
One nip out.
Okay. Did anyone eat anything in this book?
No.
I didn't have any.
Same.
There were a lot of drinks.
Yeah, people were drinking. And lots
There
of,
might have been some canapes.
Someone
at
was
that
like,
party.
bring me a whistler. And I was like, I want a whistler. What is that?
There's a lot of marijuana cigarettes.
a lot. Oh, I also love that there like narcotics were just everywhere, but
Yeah.
there was no tobacco. Like,
Skullbustium,
Skullbustium.
tryptine.
Yeah.
Okay, no food. How about soap stuff? Okay.
I think the brother and sister ending up together was pretty.
Oh, I forgot about
That's where the
that.
trespass
Yeah, I didn't know what you were talking.
trespass.
I was like, I don't remember incest. Now I do. Oh yeah, yeah. That
also
was pretty
saw that
soapy.
coming a mile away.
Donald being activated as a latent super spy killing machine.
Jason Bourne.
Yeah, that's pretty soapy. And that is straight out of Days of Our Lives, which I've said before, and I'm sure I'll say again. It's like John Black being the the pawn. They call him the pawn. He's got the chip in his brain, and when he doesn't have well, he's either John Black when he's not Roman Brady, and then he can also be the pawn.
What about Chad Mulligan showing up as the homeless man and then turning out to
That
be...
was pretty funny.
Yeah.
That was pretty funny. Another man who abandoned his family.
Yep.
All right. Did we like the book? Haley,
That's fine.
Amy.
Yes? No. I don't know.
It is an objectively good, interesting book.
I am firmly on the fence.
Yeah.
I think this is an objectively good book, but I just didn't like it. And that harkens to yesterday when Kevin and I watched the film starring George Clooney, Michael Clayton.
Oh.
And it is an objectively good film, and I would have rather done anything else with that 2 hours of my time. I didn't like it. So I think the same thing. I think this is a good book. Wasn't for me. I didn't like it.
It didn't have a very Oscar award-winning Tilda Swinton either, like Michael Clayton does.
Correct. Does anyone have an opinion on Star Wars or Lord of the Rings?
There's that moon base, so it's Star Wars.
That's no moon.
I have a lot of thoughts about this.
Go. You have limited time. Go.
The book is actually Moby Dick.
Yay!
Okay. Moby Dick, but less fun.
Oh, there is boat camp.
In the intro, he says, the action sequences are in fact the dullest parts of the book, which is in fact the exact description of Moby Dick.
True.
And this one review said, John Brunner filled this book with information that he thought showed that the plot was not only possible but likely. The useless information takes up about 50% of this book. The useless information being the plot.
Also, I'm going to add to this. The word whale dreck appears
Yes!
Whale
Whale
17
That was my
times.
third point.
Yeah, that's true.
Whale dreck. Everywhere.
You know, hot take this. Would you like the book better if it was just the excerpts? I think I might. If it's just a book of short stories about this world, I think it would illustrate it better.
And like most people who've read Moby Dick or who've never read Moby Dick, he says it's a waste of time to read, this reviewer, which we all know is not true.
Yeah, both are. Yeah. I think if I was set upon to enjoy the extra X more, I found myself kind of skipping quicker than I should have because I was trying to figure out the plot.
I think that's reasonable.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's as good as Moby Dick.
No,
No. No, because in Moby Dick, the vibes are fun.
The vibes are
and
fun.
in the plot chapters, I also like the plot chapters of Moby Dick. You've got your crazy captain, and Ishmael thinks funny things about things, and Queequeg is cool.
Queequeg is cool.
Hip dies and is maybe a ghost, or maybe he doesn't die, and he's just crazy. You don't know. So yeah, I wasn't interested in it. I think it is a good book, and I get why people like it, but I wasn't interested.
I definitely think it had a heyday, and it's hard to place it in the now times.
Well, all I know is that Bronwyn's breasts hardly moved as she doubled over.
Boobing boobily!
So I think we're in a firm on whether we liked it or not.
It is a good book.
It's definitely a book we read.
Yeah.
It is, and I get why it is regarded as an important book.
Absolutely.
Coming up next time, Double Star by Robert Heinlein. Heinlein? How do we say that?
I don't know if we've landed on one.
I always say Heinlein.
Heinlein, I think, is what comes out of my mouth, but I think it's because it rhymes.
And I don't think we've picked anything after that, so we will pick our next 3 and look out on socials for the next 3. Okay. And also be on our website, because I'm trying to do better about updating that.
Getting shiggy with
And Hugo voting is open, and if you are a member or you're going to be a member, there's books you can download.
Oh,
We'll get
yeah.
you some books. Best
Love a free
novels and novellas and short stories and novelettes and other things. Oh, related work. There's some cool nonfiction in there.
Oh, yeah.
Go do it.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Hugo girl. Hugo girl. Hugo girl. A hilarious podcast.
I didn't take a sip of my drink because I thought it would ruin room tone, but then Kevin took a sip of his drink.
Well, I'm not in front of a microphone.
True. Okay. I feel better.
I noticed you looked offended. You're like, oh. Kevin's just over there going,
Like,